What if the moment you decide to act as if everything always works out? The universe steps forward to meet your belief with evidence so vivid that your nerves hum with certainty and your feet find the ground beneath them as if the earth itself had learned your name. You stand now at the threshold of a principle so ancient and so simple that its power has been forgotten by those who chase complicated formulas. Act as if, and the world must bend to your will because you have already declared the end from the beginning. You are not merely hoping that fortune favors the bold. You are invoking a law as precise as the turning of the seasons, as predictable as the rising sun. In the long arc of human achievement, those who have walked the edge of possibility have learned to wear confidence like a suit of armor, to strut into the unknown with the quiet certainty that if they have not yet found proof, they will create it with the same breath by which they exhale doubt. Let us begin not with a lecture, but with a pledge to your own heart. You will adopt a definite purpose so clear that it glows in the dark, a purpose so compelling that it becomes the gravity by which all your days anchor themselves. This is not a wish floating on the surface of your mind. It is a gravity well into which every thought, every feeling, every intention you entertain must fall and be consumed, refined, turned into action. Your definite purpose is the lighthouse you never abandon, the beacon that commands the harbor of your life to shift its currents toward the shore you have chosen. When you fix this purpose with the stubbornness of a craftsman, you begin to see a new kind of weather, a climate in which your decisions are not gambles, but calibrated bets, where you move with the momentum of a train that has found its rails and will not derail, no matter how many sidings tempt it to pause. The world will throw doubt like pebbles in your path, but a life guided by a purpose that you would die to defend does not stagger for a handful of stones. It absorbs them, polishes them, and uses them as the ballast for a voyage toward the horizon you can name in your own heart. Now lean closer to the truth that makes this possible. The mastermind is not a luxury you indulge in to feel more alive. It is a necessity you cultivate to avoid feeling small when the climb becomes steep. You do not endure the ascent alone, for you have learned to knit together a circle of minds whose hunger for greater ground matches your own. The mastermind is a magnetic field, an invisible orchestra of disciplined voices, each instrument tuned to a shared pitch of possibility. In that field, you encounter reflections of yourself you could never conjure from solitary effort. You hear the counsel that reveals your blind spots. You receive the ideas that illuminate unimagined routes. You feel the accountability that keeps your pace honest when the night grows long and your ambition trembles with fatigue. The mastermind multiplies your power not by giving you power you did not have, but by multiplying the power you already carry, refining it, directing it, and sending it outward with the force of a river broken through rock by the pressure of many streams converging toward one inexorable current. When you enter this circle with humility and firmness, you discover that collaboration is not a concession to weakness, but a vow to elevate truth through shared courage and shared discipline. If the mastermind is the wind that lifts your sail, autosuggestion is the steady flame you keep burning at the base of your furnace, the ritual by which you convert your best imaginaries into living belief. Autosuggestion is not a trick of the mind possessed by tricksters or a charm meant to enchant reality. It is the method by which you train your inner law, the sacred routine by which you reauthor your perception of what is possible until it becomes second nature to act as if it is already true. You repeat the right statements with the calm insistence of a craftsman pressing a rivet into a frame that must endure the strain of time. You do not beg belief. You re-educate belief until it walks beside you, until it speaks through your posture, until it acts through your choices with the same confident precision you use when you calculate a risk and decide to take it. The whispered litany of autosuggestion shapes the subconscious mind, not as a magician's trick, but as a patient, disciplined apprenticeship. Every repetition, a brick laid in a bridge that will carry you across the chasm between your current reality and your most daring future. And as belief solidifies, action becomes less a random spark and more the expected consequence of a mind trained to anticipate victory, not to fear defeat. Faith then becomes the light that does not merely illuminate the way, but compels you to step into the light even before its path is fully visible. Faith is not the denial of risk. It is the acceptance of risk with a conviction that the universe rewards the brave who prepare themselves to meet the unknown with intention, clarity, and courage. The faith I invite you to cultivate is a faith tested by the kiln of daily practice, a faith refined by the unseen outcomes that appear when you have acted long enough with a single stubborn belief. It is the faith of the mountain climber who, despite the fog that shrouds the peak, persists with the knowledge that the summit will yield to the consistent pounding of his will against the stone of circumstance. You can hear the echo of that faith in your own mind when you remind yourself that every setback is a signal that you must re-aim, re-prepare, and renew your resolve, not abandon it. Faith is the engine that never stops turning because you are not turning toward mere comfort, but toward meaning, toward a future you can feel in your bones as you rise with the sun and set with the stars. But faith alone is not enough. You must combine imagination with organized planning to form a plan that breathes and evolves as reality shifts beneath your feet. Imagination is not a flight of fancy. It is the architect's blueprint that maps the invisible into the visible. It is the ability to see a path where others see only a cliff, to draft the steps that will turn an abstract yearning into a concrete, navigable route. Yet imagination without planning is a dream that dissolves under pressure. Planning without imagination is a map that leads nowhere because the terrain has changed and the traveler has not learned to read the new signs. The living map, therefore, is the union of vision and method, a dynamic plan that guides your conscious choices while gently aligning your subconscious patterns to the cadence of your intention. You invest in a rhythm of decisive actions that respond to feedback from reality, not a stubborn insistence that reality must bow to your original rough draft. Your plan is not a chain but a ladder. You climb with it. You adjust as you climb. And you trust that each rung is a guarantee that you deserve to stand higher than you stood yesterday. Specialized knowledge then enters as the tool you wield to turn your plan into a product, a service, a contribution that others will recognize as valuable and essential. It is not earned by heroics alone, but by patient study, by practical experimentation, by collaboration that converts theory into technique, and by the humility to learn from those who sit across the table from you, and from those who stand behind you in shared purpose. You do not hoard knowledge as if it were gold in a locked bank vault. You refine it as a craftsman refines steel, forging it in the fires of tests, demonstrations, and feedback. You apply it, you teach it, you scale it, and you let it spread because a knowledge that becomes action becomes power, and power, when guided by integrity, becomes service that lifts not just your own life, but the lives of others who look to you for a blueprint of possibility. And so the circle widens, the circle of competence grows, and with it your confidence expands to fill the horizon you once believed was distant or impossible. The subconscious mind, patient and quiet, acts as the silent partner in your enterprise. It does not seek the microphone or the applause, but it makes the unglamorous forecast accurate, the subtle adjustments in your habit, emotion and reflex, all the things that reveal themselves when adversity tests you as if you were a glass sculpture under a hammer. You feed the subconscious with deliberate repetition, with the consistent insistence that your thoughts and actions align with your definite purpose, that your daily acts echo the truth you intend to manifest. The subconscious mind then works with the conscious mind like two gears meshing so perfectly that the motion becomes a single unstoppable force. When you learn to speak to the subconscious through autosuggestion, habit converts to instinct, and instinct to character, and character to destiny. This is not mysticism. It is the science of aligning your deepest stores with your outward deeds until your life becomes a living demonstration that your inner weather predicts the outer weather. And what of thoughts? Thoughts are not mere companions to your daily life. They are the raw material out of which your world is formed. Each thought sends forth a signal that invites or repels opportunities. Each thought sets the tone for your mood, your endurance, your resilience, your willingness to begin again after a stumble. You must govern your thoughts as a farmer tends crops, planting the seeds that will become harvests, and weeding out the weeds that would choke your growth. The right thoughts attract the right circumstances. The wrong thoughts invite storms you cannot weather. So you cultivate a disciplined mind, a mind that welcomes challenge as a partner in growth, a mind that refuses to indulge vanity or despair, because both of these distort the measure of what you can achieve when you act as if everything always works out. When you think with clarity, you act with decisiveness. When you act with decisiveness, you form habits that become the architecture of a life that can withstand scrutiny, a life that earns and deserves the trust of a world hungry for proof that possibility is not a rumor but a plan. Now hear the call of action, not a timid invitation, but an inexorable summons that lifts you from the edge of hesitation into the open air of commitment. You must begin right now, not after a future dream time has passed, not when the mood strikes or when the others approve. You begin with a single tangible practice that anchors your days and signals your host of courage that you are not merely listening to a sermon but enacting a creed. It could be a daily ritual of reflection and action, a deliberate choice to exchange a minute of complaint for a minute of contribution, a vow to learn one new thing that will sharpen your edge, a decision to speak to one mastermind ally and share your truth in order to refine it, a promise to document a single step you took toward your definite purpose and to review it each night as a banker reviews a ledger. The exact form matters less than the consistency with which you apply it. And the momentum that grows from that consistency will begin to tilt the odds in your favor so profoundly that the world, in its cautious way, will bend toward you, recognizing the shape of your determination and responding accordingly. In the sea of human possibility, I have seen the ones who succeed become captains of their fate, not by accident but by training, not by luck, but by the repetition of deliberate acts that prove their belief to be true. They do not hope for miracles. They prepare for miracles by turning halting faith into tested certainty, by turning vague possibility into a concrete craft that yields tangible outcomes. And you, listening now, are being asked to take up that same mantle. Act as if everything always works out, because the universal rhythm does not reject the man or woman who chooses to live in that rhythm with discipline, with kindness, with generosity, with a fierce commitment to the betterment of themselves and the world they inhabit. It is not arrogance to walk with conviction. It is responsibility to the truth of what you can become and to the impact you can have when you embody the principle in every breath, every choice, every silence between two decisive actions. Do you hear the challenge? Do you hear the invitation that rings like a call across a canyon of hesitation? It is not a call to swagger, not a call to blindsight courage, but a call to the patient, unglamorous work of mastery. It is a call to become the type of person who, when a door opens, does not pause to ask whether the door will creak, but steps through with the quiet certainty that the door has appeared precisely because you have earned your right to walk through. It is a call to cultivate the kind of focus that makes the world bend to your need for clarity, not the other way around. It is a call to practice the discipline that makes your mornings matter more than your excuses do, a discipline that makes your nights teach you what your days forgot to reveal, a discipline that makes every ordinary task an act of devotion toward a grander design. When you walk this road, you will discover that self-mastery is not a solitary achievement, but a shared testament. Your example will become a map for others, your integrity a lighthouse for those who wander in fog, your consistent action a drumbeat that invites others to rise with you. The mastermind will not only magnify your energy, it will magnify your character and magnify your responsibility to use your power for good. Your specialized knowledge will become a language that unites minds rather than a weapon that divides them. Your subconscious mind will quietly corroborate your outward bravado with a backbone of habit, and habit with a spine of virtue. And your thoughts will stop being random gusts and become a furnace through which you co-create reality with intention, precision, and audacity. Let us land here, not in a period of rest, but in a vow that reverberates through the chambers of your life. You will act as if everything always works out. You will cultivate the mindset that the next moment is already a victory in disguise, that the next action you take is not merely a step toward a distant goal, but a bridge that anchors you securely to that goal. You will train your attention to be a beam and not a magnet for trivialities. You will train your voice to declare success, even while the flesh still trembles. You will train your hands to work the plan with delicate exactness, even when you would rather dream. You will tell yourself a daily truth so potent that no detractor can erase it. I am the author of my fate. I am the architect of my days. I am the custodian of the energy that creates wealth, health, meaning, and service. And I will not yield to the wind that would carry me away from the shore I have chosen. When doubt rears its head, you will answer with a silence, so brimming with action that doubt cannot breathe. When fear appears, you will answer with a warmer, invincible laugh, a laugh that says you have seen fear before. You have walked through it, and you came out the other side, not unscathed perhaps, but more alive, more awake, more sure of your own power. And now, as this voice fades into the echo of your own heartbeat, feel the responsibility of your choice resting on your shoulders, not as a burden, but as a treasure. The choice to act as if everything always works out is not a denial of reality. It is a rebirth of reality itself, a re-engineering of your senses so that you parse the world through the lens of possibility rather than limitation. The world will respond to you not because you demand it at every turn, but because you deserve to receive what you have prepared for, what you have envisioned, what you have practiced and proven, not only to others, but to yourself. First and foremost, you will begin again and again, with gentleness toward your past and iron resolve toward your future, until the day when your every breath tests courage, when your every choice builds you up rather than pulling you down, when your life becomes a living advertisement for the truth that everything you have imagined can be manufactured into fact, if you will act as if it already exists. And so I leave you with this final act of faith, this last invitation to a leap you have already taken many times in your dreams. Step forward now without trepidation, without apology, without waiting for the stars to align, and choose, in one decisive gesture, to treat every moment as if it is already delivering what your soul demands. Begin with the simplest, most immediate action that speaks to your definite purpose, and let that action ripple outward until it becomes a current that carries you beyond the farthest shore you once believed you could reach. You will keep your compass in your hand, your engine in your chest, your furnace in your focus, and your mountain in your sight. And you will move with the unshakable certainty that the future belongs to those who refuse to doubt, those who refuse to surrender, those who refuse to quit until their world is exactly the one they have the courage to imagine. This is your time to act as if everything, absolutely everything, is on your side. Because in the calculus of life, when you commit to that belief with every day, with every breath, with every habit, you will find that the universe does indeed answer your call. And what once seemed like a distant dream becomes the air you breathe, the ground you walk on, the fact you live, the proof that you were always meant to become what you have known. You could become since you first asked the question, since you first allowed yourself to believe, and now you have chosen to begin, and beginning is everything. And so you stand again on the precipice, not at the end of a sermon, but at the threshold of a living creed. A creed you will enact with every breath, with every heartbeat that dares to beat in time with the drumbeat of your definite purpose. The air itself seems to hum with the certainty that everything you need is already inside you, waiting not for fate to decree, but for you to declare it into existence. You have learned, in the long apprenticeship of greatness, that the moment you act as if the answer has already arrived, the universe bends its tides to your harbor, and sudden currents of opportunity push you toward the shore you have chosen with unyielding resolve. This is not elation merely. This is the architecture of reality being drawn by your hand, the syntax of possibility being written in the margins of every ordinary minute until the margins themselves become the main text of your life. You will feel the tug of the mastermind not as a mere advisory chorus, but as the living lattice of your ascent, a network of minds that resonate with your hunger, a constellation that rearranges destiny when you align your signals with theirs. It is there, in that circle, that you discover your blind spots turning into bright pathways, your isolated sparks fusing into a radiant current of disciplined intelligence. The mastermind does not steal your individuality. It amplifies it. It refines your judgment. It amplifies your courage. And it teaches you to tread the edge of risk with the poise of someone who has learned to carry the weight of possibility without flinching. You do not join a club. You join a covenant of meaning, a pact that says we will elevate one another, not by flattering bravado, but by honest critique, by sharing the hard-won truths that time itself would applaud if it could bear witness to the process. You enter that field with gratitude and with the iron discipline to hold your own truth up to the light of others' reasoning, to extract value from every exchange, to convert every disagreement into a sharper instrument for action. Autosuggestion is your quiet forge, the day-by-day ritual that conquers the stubborn stubbornness of doubt. You do not rely on luck or empty wishes. You rehearse your highest beliefs until they become the air you breathe, until your words, your posture, and your choices march in unison with the future you have already decided to inhabit. This is not a lullaby. It is a regimen, an exacting, affectionate discipline that tunes your inner climate so that drought becomes seed, scarcity becomes planning, and fear recedes to the margins where it can no longer govern your decisions. You speak not to conjure miracles, but to plant the seeds of miracles. You will cultivate through steady, patient practice. With each repetition, you re-harden your will. You re-center your attention. You reaffirm your certainty that you are becoming the person who does not merely dream but delivers, who does not merely imagine but materializes. Faith is not the flimsy whisper of optimism. It is the bold, stubborn conviction that the universe respects consistency, that the law of cause and effect is precise, that your daily acts braid themselves into a rope strong enough to haul you from the pit of hesitation to the summit of achievement. Faith is the quiet, unshakable agreement between your conscious mind and your deeper nature, a covenant that your efforts are not arbitrary, but harmonized with the order of the cosmos. It is the faith of the sculptor who perceives the statue within the marble long before the first strike of the chisel, the faith of the builder who sees the finished home in the blueprint long before the first plank is laid. When your faith is widely disciplined, the world stops asking you to prove yourself and begins to acknowledge that your proof has already become your living daily life. The evidence you seek bends toward your will because you have nurtured it into being by showing up again and again, by coming back to the same line of effort, even when the weather grows fiercer, even when fatigue tempts you to abandon the quest. Imagination is your first instrument and your last shelter, the source of the visions that pull you out of the known and into a field where only your courage can map the terrain. Yet imagination without structure is a dream scattered by the wind. Structure without imagination is a prison of predictability. The living plan is your compromise between these forces, a dynamic map that breathes with you, that rewrites itself as you uncover new facts, that refuses to become a tombstone for yesterday's achievements. You imagine not merely a better outcome, but a better method of arriving there. You see the route. You hear the rhythm of the steps. You feel the texture of the days that will shape your character in the hard clay of reality. Your imagination becomes an operating system for your life, a headquarters from which your organized planning springs, a source of creative leverage that converts abstract desire into tangible, repeatable action. And as you imagine with intention, you craft the most powerful weapon of all, belief in a future you have not yet touched, but can describe with such lucidity that even the air begins to rearrange itself to accommodate your picture. Organized planning, that living map, is not a set of rigid steps, but a conversational instrument with the universe. You speak to reality in a language it understands, concrete, incremental, audaciously practical. You translate dreams into daily rituals, into the tiny, almost invisible acts that become the backbone of your ascent. You create a rhythm in your life, a cadence that makes the day a steady drumbeat toward your summit. You schedule your energy for the right battles. You allocate your time to the right allies. You prune your environment so that every stimulus serves your purpose rather than sabotages it. This planning is not a cage. It is a runway, an instrument by which your intention takes off and climbs with the wind of feedback beneath its wings. It is the art of turning intention into momentum, the science of making every action speak the language of consequence, the practice of turning a moment's indecision into a sequence of actions that compound into a future you can finally inhabit with confidence. Specialized knowledge enters as your refined tool set, not as an ornament on a shelf. You learn with the humility of a student and the posture of a teacher, letting the insights you acquire be tested in the crucible of real outcomes. It is knowledge that earns its keep by proving itself in real problems, in real teams, in real markets, in real moments when a decision must be made and a path must be chosen. You do not hoard it. You share it. You compare it. You improve it through feedback. You allow it to evolve through collaboration. You let it become more than theory by turning it into reliable practice that others can adopt and adapt. The more you refine your specialized knowledge, the more you become indispensable to your own progress and to the progress of others who are waiting for your clarity, your courage, your sample of integrity to point the way forward. You do not fear being surpassed. You welcome the expansion of your field, because expansion is a sign that your mastery extends beyond your present boundaries and into the uncharted territories that your curiosity is eager to explore. The subconscious mind works as the quiet architect behind your conscious decisions, the unseen hand that steadies your aim when the wind shifts and the road grows unfamiliar. It is not a cranky servant demanding attention only in crisis. It is the patient partner that reorganizes your habits into permanent dispositions, that turns sharp, momentary impulses into enduring routines. That translates the language of daily acts into a narrative you can read backward and forward and be proud of. You feed the subconscious with the deliberate practice of autosuggestion. You entrust it with the pattern of your days. You invite it to harmonize with the voice of your conscious purpose so that your decisions glide from intention to implementation with barely a tremor. The subconscious mind becomes the quiet engine that keeps the system humming when you cannot push any harder. The unseen ally that turns a simple plan into a self-sustaining machine of progress. And your thoughts, which are the raw material of your life, must be chosen with the care of a master craftsman, selecting the timber for a bridge that will carry decades of travelers, bearing their hopes, their failures, and their triumphs across the span of time. You prune away the thoughts that undermine, You water the thoughts that uplift. You feed the thoughts that align with your definite purpose. And you watch as your mental landscape rearranges itself into a terrain where possibility grows like forest, dense, interwoven, and inexhaustible. Now, as you push further along this unbroken river, you begin to notice the texture of time itself. Time is not your enemy. It is your most honest banker, the teller who records every deposit and every withdrawal with unflinching accuracy. You cease wasting minutes on what would not stand up to the test of your future self. You cease allowing arguments with doubt to siphon your energy. You cease letting mere distraction masquerade as urgency. You learn to spend time with the same sacred regard you would give to a precious inheritance, to invest it in acts that yield compounding interest in your character, your competence, your influence, and your contribution to the world. You discover that the door of opportunity opens not for those who merely wait for it, but for those who have hammered enough nails into the doorframe to persuade it to swing toward them when the knock comes with the signature of your own perseverance. And when the door opens, you do not walk timidly through. You stride with the assurance of a founder who has already sketched the blueprint, who has already hired the builders, who has already paid the price in discipline and courage. In this sacred procession, ego has no rightful place, for the journey you undertake is not a show of personal triumph, but an act of service, a demonstration that your success can be a lighthouse for others who, in their own deserts, search for a compass and a map. The mastermind's light does not feast on exclusivity. It shines by inviting others to bring their strengths, their perspectives, their vulnerabilities, their insights into the common forge. You understand that leadership is not about ruling over, but inviting upward, not about flaunting your results, but illuminating the path for those who follow after you, with the humility to learn from those behind you, just as you teach those ahead of you. Your life becomes a continuous demonstration that when intention, talent, character, and collaboration converge, miracles do not vanish. They become predictable outcomes of principled action, disciplined patience, and a culture of persistent generosity. Now hear a final practical cadence to seal the vow you have undertaken. Begin with a single simple action you will perform every day without fail, a tiny discipline that will become a giant habit over time. It could be a morning vow to set your hour for your most important task, and to guard that hour as a fortress. It could be the decision to connect with one mastermind ally and to exchange a truth that refines both your paths. It could be the daily act of writing down a single thought that confirms your progress and holds you accountable to your own standards. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Do not ask permission from the world to prove yourself. You grant it yourself. You give the world the proof of your readiness by the relentless cadence of your daily deeds. And as you continue in that rhythm, you will begin to notice a subtle, almost miraculous symmetry. Your inner world begins to harmonize with the outer world. Your beliefs begin to align with your consequences. Your dreams begin to bleed into your daily routines until the two become indistinguishable. And your life becomes the living testament to the principle that act as if everything always works out is not a fantasy but a practical, testable truth. If you hear nothing else tonight, hear this last invitation. Begin immediately. Begin with a decisive breath. Begin with one act of faith that you will repeat until it becomes second nature, until the hours you live are longer, more meaningful, more exact, until the person you are is no longer a question mark, but a statement of unassailable reality. Begin now today, this minute, and let your determination answer the question. Your future self will ask you with a smile you will recognize across years. Did you walk through the door you opened? Did you lift the weight you accepted? Did you become the life you knew you could become the moment you chose to begin? The answer, your answer, will light the way for every other dream you carry, and the world will not merely witness your ascent. It will be compelled to follow your lead because you have shown them the exact method by which a single human heart, disciplined, resolute, and kind, can bend the fabric of time and craft a destiny that outlives a single lifetime.